So how do we go to war with Mexico? Well, it starts with a disagreement between the independent Republic of Texas and Mexico disagreeing over the border. Texas feels that this is part of Texas. Mexico says your border's way up here. Texas says, no, our border's way down here at the Rio Grande. When the United States annexes Texas in 1945, adding it to the nation, well, now Mexico disagrees with the United States as to where the border between the two countries is. And as a result of that dispute between now the United States and Mexico, Mexico and the United States break off diplomatic relations. They call back their ambassadors. In other words, this problem cannot be solved by diplomacy. It's impossible because the diplomats are no longer in each other's countries. So, President Polk has General Zachary Taylor take troops into that disputed territory, into that area between the Nueces River, which is where Texas said, or where Mexico said the border was, and the Rio Grande River, which is where Texas said it was. Polk sends troops into the disputed area. This looks like an invasion to Mexico. And as a result, on April of 1846, Mexican forces attack those American soldiers. Polk had already written the message to declare war to Congress. He goes and gives the speech to Congress, explains that he also wants to take California and New Mexico by force. Congress declares war the next month in May, and while they are doing that, this man, John C. Fremont, is already stirring up resistance in California, another part of Mexico, but which contained a lot of American citizens who maybe might be more in favor of of being part of the United States. There were already U.S. ships off of the Pacific coast of California ready for war. So this is not an accident that we went to war with Mexico. This is part of Polk's plan. As a result of the war, we have revolt in California. We have what's called the Bear Flag Revolt, which is where California gets its current flag. California is going to break away from Mexico. New Mexico, and that's actually Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, and I think even parts of Colorado. That area, which Mexico called New Mexico, is seized by American forces. Throughout the war, Zachary Taylor and Winfield Scott and John C. Fremont, all three of whom are successful military leaders during the war, are going to become famous and use that fame to try to get a name in politics later. And the war is officially concluded with the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, which sets the border between the United States and Mexico as the Rio Grande. So we got the border that Texas claimed it was originally. Also, the territory of New Mexico, which is multiple states, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, even up into Wyoming, New Mexico, and Arizona, or most of Arizona, all that goes to the United States for $15 million, along with California. This big chunk of land in the Southwest that's turned over to America as a result of the war for $15 million is known as the Mexican Cession. It's very important. It's the second largest increase in U.S. territory right after the Louisiana Purchase. It's 500,000 square miles. It increases the size of the nation by 20%. And maybe even more importantly, we gain additional Pacific ports. We gain an important, valuable port in San Diego and in San Francisco. And eventually, that little brown area in the southern part of Arizona will become part of the United States as well. That is known as the Gadsden Purchase, and it's bought in 1853 from Mexico. And the Gadsden Purchase was bought as a possible route for a southern transcontinental railroad. So by 1853, the border of the continental United States has been settled. Alaska is not yet part of the nation, and Hawaii is not yet part of the nation, but the border, or at least the exterior border, maybe we should say, of the United States has been set.